Hi,
Well,
this
there is one.
is
And
Hi,
then,
this is Terry
you
Joyce.
know,
I'm getting ready
little
to
ribs are taken from Adam
broadcast
to create the woman,
Freedom of Joyce
you
on
know,
Revolution Radio.
and obviously
You can probably hear
without
that there's the
the
show
male,
going on
there would never be a
below
woman.
me, not below me,
Because
but
you do
on
have
my
to remember, I
computer
know this sounds horrible what I'm
on
going to say
Revolution
for some
Radio.
of the
It's the
women
show
that
ahead
think, oh,
that's
great,
in front of my show,
but it is
Freedom
true.
of Joyce,
Men
and
are very powerful and men are
it
very awesome and
is
very
the
needed on this planet.
guest. I mean, not the guest. The
Very, very, very
host
much so.
is Talking with Your
Without a
Angels.
male, you
And
cannot
so I'm
procreate,
listening to
you
that. I'm
cannot have
about
children.
getting ready to call
There's
my
no
guest,
way without it.
Gil Toff.
You
Oh, by
cannot
the
have a
way,
child without a male.
these are dollar
Okay?
glasses with
You can come up
a
with
broken
5,000
edge.
reasons,
I
5,000
have to get better
excuses,
glasses.
but you cannot.
I did
But the
something,
point
stepped on
is,
them,
at the very
whatever, and
beginning of time, there was
I
Adam and
abuse
Eve.
them all the time. So anyway,
There was
Gil Toff is going to be on the show.
Adam's phone
He's a
given to
filmmaker,
make
friend
the
of
woman.
mine, and
And every
I'm
woman
super excited to interview him. I'm going to add
will
him
not
here on the
be
Skype
without a
very
man,
soon.
because the word
So
woman
we're going to start off with that in a
obviously makes
second.
the
This
word
is
man
basically
men
I always Ustream. I like to Ustream my Freedom of Joy show
So a
or
lot
do
of people
behind the
don't
scenes
want to accept
footage.
that because sometimes
Specifically
our
a
pride
lot for
or
the
our
monologue
egos are like,
that I do in the
well,
beginning.
we're not powerful men.
You know,
We're,
and I like to have some cutaway
in the
footage
21st century, and we're
to
going to
do
take
other
over the
things.
world.
I
Women
also
are so
like
awesome.
to
Women are
live
amazing.
stream protests
Absolutely.
and
We're the
interview
ones who
people where
carry
we
the
can see
children.
them.
Just like
I
I
love the
started
fact that
last
we
week.
have the
We're the ones who
internet
go
and
through what we
this
go through,
amazing
in order
multi-platform
for us to get back
kind
to the
of
planet. We're the nurturers. But the
cheap,
men
inexpensive way to do
are the
shows,
protectors.
broadcast,
The men
communicate, and entertain and
are
get amazing information out there for
they're the
people
ones
to
who are
listen to.
supposed to
So
lead
I'm
us.
very excited
They're
about this
supposed to
today.
guide us. They're supposed to, protect us, and they're supposed to feed us. They are the ones who are supposed to have and carry and be the bravery. And a lot of women in this planet today do not allow themselves to accept that. And a lot of men on this planet today don't even accept the role. This world has become so disconnected. It just makes my mind spin how much disconnection we're a part of these days. It is fine. Whatever you want to be, whoever you want to be, there is not an issue with that. Go out there, do it, be that person. Have the happiness you want to have on this planet. But at least accept your role of who God warned you to be. Be the woman and be the man. If you're a man, be a man. If
Okay,
you're a woman,
I'm going to call Gil Toff now. So,
be the lover, be the passionate, be the loving.
Half done glasses here.
Mainly the nurturer. If you're a man, be brave.
Here we go.
Be the protector. Strength.
Calling him now.
It does not matter. And I can tell you what I'm being told as I'm talking right now. Because I have
Hi there.
Hello.
all different types of
So,
sexual preferences.
I actually started to live stream on Freedom of Joyce. So just so you know that I am also have the live stream happening. I don't know if anybody's viewing. I don't think anybody's actually watching it right now. I'm zero viewers, but I like to experiment doing having some extra footage to cut away from because people like to have visuals, and there's sometimes where when I'm with the guest, so then I can have something different to do. And if I like my monologue in the beginning, and if something's funny, then I make a little I clip it into a little video. If it's crap, then I leave it alone.
Forget about crap.
Right. So how are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm here on a job site.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Can you see the background?
You don't have your video on. You want to turn it on?
I see. It just went off. I don't know why. Can't start video. Try closing other programs that might be using your webcam. Okay. How about if I do this?
Yes, I see you. I'll put mine on for a minute. Oh, let me fix my camera. Good morning.
Hello. Let me see if this works.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can catch this. I can capture this on this. Maybe we can. I have it pointed towards me, like I've got the camera in reverse, and once I get it started, I can't turn it around, but at least I can record some of this of us, looking at each other.
See my zipper?
Yeah, those are your earphones?
Yeah.
It's good to see you. I love how it's amazing how we can just be in different parts of the.
Incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
Incredible.
It is. Did you think it's very Austin Powers?
I'm going to try something
Okay.
to see if my mic mutes. Tell me if it does.
Yes. Yeah, it muted. You're muted.
Great. I'm all muted. Not neutered, muted.
I've got this annoying chime in here. Where I live at, the internet signal is best here, but they have a chime machine here, and so every time it happens, I usually have to like try to mute it while it's chiming during the show, but you still hear this little tiny ding.
No problem. I was going to sit outside in the garden,
Oh,
but it got too hot. It's hot out here, let me tell you. It is very hot.
that's unbelievable. That it is that hot. Uh, Here it's probably 70s, 80s. We're having it's just starting to come into spring. So my plan is to get back to LA no later than the fall, and spend winter there. I'm not I don't feel like going through another winter in the Northwest. It takes way too long for the sun to come out. I had snow this year, snow so bad that I couldn't even drive down the street. And I have pictures of it. I mean, I snow in a way that I've never lived before. Uh, don't want to do that again. I think I just don't want to do it. I'm a pussy that way.
I don't blame you. Now, I was living for a little while in northwest Montana.
Uh huh.
It's just unbelievably beautiful. Oh, unbelievable. But the cold weather, I got the hell out of there.
Yeah, I've performed a bit in Montana. I happen to like to go there, but I've seen the winter days, and they're not good. And I don't even like to tour during that time. We take these really super long road trips, and then we make no money afterwards, and you literally risk your life getting there.
Experience. It's for the experience.
Right. Well, I've experienced it already. I don't feel I'm really not feeling like going back. Is that what happens when you start to age? You're like, this is bullshit.
No, you get wiser.
Right.
You'd rather shovel the sunshine than the snow.
Right. Yeah. If I had my way, I would live somewhere like Greece or tropical, or I want to, some beautiful ocean view would be my.
Mediterranean. Yugoslavia is unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah, the coast, unbelievable. It's like you have Pacific Coast Highway here,
Uh-huh.
highway down the coast, and each little village along the highway, between the highway and the ocean, you can't drive your car in there. It's all cobblestone. So you got to leave your car outside of the edge of the village, and you walk through the village. It is beautiful. Oh, it's really nice. No cars,
Oh.
cafes, restaurants, beautiful people. Sunshine makes for warmer people.
I believe that.
Oh, sure, sure. Look at the Italians and the Swedes. Right there.
All right, so I'm listening.
How are we starting?
It's
You're gonna do a monologue, you said?
yeah. I've got a few. I penciled in some humorous bullet points. I thought things that were kind of going in my mind. Potential material actually. One thing I've been working on. I haven't the last couple shows. The monologue got interrupted, or last week I had Bundy Ranch people back on again. I didn't want to. I went right into the interviewing, but I'm wanting to take a moment to do some comedy, something humorous, something. Yeah, I mean, it is what I do, and not incorporating that into the show would be foolish on my part. That's what sets, huh?
For not incorporating.
Yeah, it would be silly for not doing it. That's part. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
And
It's
if they can't handle it,
right.
you know what Bette Midler said, right?
What?
They can't take a joke, fuck them. She said that once, I remember, at a concert in Brussels. They can't take a joke, fuck them. Yeah, I think you should. Kind of lightens up the thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Shows that you're not just a political animal.
yeah.
More of a person.
And also, it transmutes energy. I feel, it makes you feel good, and it gets information out. But it also is not so. It's just a different way of doing it. I thought, you know what? I can't. If you got certain gifts, you don't just let them lie there. Well, let's unplug that one. No, that's the whole reason why they probably invited me to do a show in the first place.
There you go. Right.
Right?
I just saw a great joke. I don't know if I sent it to you. I think it's the most honest guy on internet dating I've ever seen.
Really?
This guy's on the internet dating,
Uh-huh.
and I guess he gets a question from a female. Where do you live? And he says, I live in a gated community. He's living in prison.
Oh yeah, you told me that one.
It's fun. The first honest guy I've ever seen on internet dating.
I live in a gated community. Doesn't have a view. The view isn't very good, but all right. So I think this is going to end here for a minute. She's closing. So gosh, this tech.
I don't have to put anything on, right? I'm here with you.
Yeah, you're just here with me. When we start the broadcast, we want to turn our videos off though. We can do it like in between our videos off because it makes the broadcast go better. The video takes away from the production still. I guess the streaming or whatever happens. It's the sound isn't as good when we have our video.
Right. It draws too much.
Yeah. So, but eventually, I've got other software where I could record us like this, an interview where you can actually see the interface, and I'm probably going to get to that point at some point. I mean, I'm pretty close to it already. Sometimes I do other forms of media, not just what I'm doing here on this one. I've been playing around with a lot of different things lately. It's like I don't know. It's like I love it. It's new. I'm like, oh, look at this. You could do this with this, and
You saw what Congress did yesterday, huh? Voted against neutrality. They're going to make those who have money get better Wi-Fi speed than the rest of us.
Yeah, I've been hearing that. Maybe we might want to bring up that a little. I've been seeing some stuff lying around too about that coming up. I hope they vote it down.
Well, they didn't vote it down yesterday.
Oh, really?
United Corporation of America. It's the old line. Justice, what is it? We're all equal under the law, but justice goes to the highest bidder.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe I don't know.
I'm not. I don't know that I want to get into it yet. I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
all that well versed.
Yeah, I'm not either.
All I know is that it should be free.
It should be free. Maybe they can create another internet, another total connection that's isn't reliant on the one that we're actually using. Is that possible?
Difficult.
All right, the show's ending over there.
Okay.
It's still kind of ending. Okay. All right. So she just left, and so let me close this out because you don't have the double sound. All right. So I'm going to call the studio. We're still trying. Huh. It's taking a moment.
Do you want me to cut up my video?
Yeah, I'll cut my video out too. I'll cut it out. Yeah.
You're listening to Velocity Think Tank, hosted by Live Mike and Jay Swagger on Revolution Radio.
Enjoy your extra big ass fries.
You didn't give me no fries. I got an empty box.
Would you like another extra big ass fries?
I said I didn't get any.
Thank you. Your account has been charged. Your balance is 0. Please come back when you can afford to make
No,
this
no.
purchase. I'm sorry you're
Come
having trouble.
on. My pants are starving.
Thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we believe in freedom of ideas, freedom of speech, and above all, we believe in freedom of existence through self-reliance. This station is 100% listener supported and has a fundraising promotion by having a kick-ass free gift for a $100 donation. 35,000 seeds. 25 years in the freezer. Long-term storable, 54 different varieties. So if the prices go crazy, the shit hits the fan, or if you just want to save tons of money every year by creating your own food like I do, grab our seed pack specials. Just look at the banner on the homepage at freedomslips.com. Don't be a statistic. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. We need as humans to start taking care of ourselves, not depending on the megacorps to provide unhealthy, nasty food. Included in this package is also a DVD with 900 survival and off-grid living documents, and the offline home canning how to do everything website, all on the DVD. So when you're growing all that food, you know how to can it, store it, preserve it, etc. with all these documents. So thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I hope you will pick up this package and start learning the free. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps and freedom is one seed removed.
What are we doing live?
Yeah. It's the freedom of choice.
You see, I grew up in America. I grew up in the land where phrases like, I have a dream, meant something. I grew up where I
welcome to the Freedom of Joyce show on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Thank you very much for tuning into the show today. Also, I just want to give a shout out to Revolution Radio and let all the listeners out there know that we are listener supported. And so it is because of you that we were able to broadcast and bring this great content to the world. And so please do give us a donation or make a contribution to us. We also have a lot of gifts that you can get. You can get seed packets. And I'm going to ask my guest to turn his mic down a little bit because I'm getting a little bit of feedback, but that's okay. That happens here. I do have a really great guest coming on in just a moment. But first of all, and I just want to finish my thought on making a donation. And so we do have wonderful seed packets that you can give a donation to, and you can be planting now. It's spring. I had a friend who got the $200 gift packet, and he just let me know through Facebook. He sent a message and said, the sprouts are coming up and they're so cute. And so I'm really excited to hear about how his garden is coming along from the donation that he gave to Revolution Radio. I want to thank you to Jason for contributing to Revolution Radio. One of the things that has been on my mind lately is religion and the different kinds of religions that are out there in the world for us to believe in and be connected to God and our spirituality. And frankly, I'm not saying that I am a spiritual person. I do believe that there is a prime creator, a one source, a God, that we are all connected to God, all part of God, all living things are alive and part of creation. But I do feel that a lot of our religions, most of them actually that are out there, are not necessarily pure, and we don't necessarily have all of the information as to the teacher. For instance, Buddha or Jesus or Allah, or it just goes on and on of whatever teacher that we most gravitate to, or perhaps that we've been grown up to, or how our moral structures are formed, etc. And that I feel that a lot of the religions have been basically are out there to manipulate us as a society, to decide whether or not we want to have wars with one another, or that we don't like each other, or my God is better than your God, or my God's the only God, or and it just goes on and on and on and on. And one of the things that I always use as a barometer of, because I like going to different churches, and I like to learn about different prophets and the wisdom that is out there that you can identify with, and also have your own personal and spiritual growth too. But there's some religions that I just really don't want to, it has to do with fashion. If they have any type of outfits that I feel like, you know what, I'm not going to wear that. There's no way. For example, some of the Mormon religions, the one that's real, I don't know, they had a big scandal about it a while back, and a lot of women wearing like prairie dresses. They had these prairie dresses kind of clothes going on, and it's really a nightmare whenever you go to a party and you see a woman with the same dress you have on. And obviously, with this, you would, anywhere you went, you would have somebody looking just like you, and that to me is mainly a nightmare. One time I was actually asked by one of my, I lived in an apartment complex, and there was this woman that lived upstairs, and she looked at me and she said, would you like to join our coven? And I said, you mean witches? And she goes, yeah, we're making our cloaks right now. And I was like, no, I'm not wearing a cloak. I'm not, there's no way I'm going to, I don't want to do eyes wide shut or have any owl masks or anything like that. I just think that's, kind of strange to me. I'm not, I couldn't see myself just going, hey, I've got my cloak on and we're drawing a circle on the ground. I don't know. And and also, and come to think about it, even Satanists, I mean, what's up with the little black widow peak and the powdered makeup and the black fingernail polish and, the devil horns, it's like we can see the rubber band that's connecting the horns that are keep on your head, it just doesn't make any sense. And then you go into like the Pentecostal religions and I went, one time I remember when I was a kid, I went to like the Pentecostal, church with my mom, and they were all yelling and screaming and saying you mustn't cut your hair if you're a woman and don't wear a skirt that's above your knee. My mom, like, she had like one of those shag haircuts, and I was like 12 years old, like barely wearing makeup, and we looked at each other and I'm like, whoa, we're sinners. you know I'm sorry, but there is too much polyester going on in those congregations. I just don't really see a point for that. And I'm sorry, but the Pope, I mean, all the Pope and the hat and the everything, and I just all these clothes that don't they're just not cool. But then again, some religions would say, well, you're speaking from a point of vanity, and I don't know what to say to that. Why can't we be spiritual or metaphysical and however and be the way we want to be the individual that we feel that we want to be. And so that's a bit of a thought that I have there. One last thing I kind of wanted to comment on was the slogans and phrases that seem to be just hijacked from our vocabulary, and sometimes they're hijacked so horribly that that the very positive meaning of what that is seems like a dismal disappointment. For example, the phrase "yes, we can." I feel like now I say it like the other day I said "yes, I can," and somebody goes "yes, you can," and I go "yes, we can," and I was like, ah, So I think I just want to like rephrase it and say, you know what? I can take that phrase back. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And it doesn't, and it's us. And one more way I want to say it is, yes, we cannabis. That's a group out there, and I think that we cannabis is important, and I definitely support the cause. One last thing, I just remember something. Recently, I'm very much into exposing and filming and talking about what I feel to be that we're a police state, that a lot of our government institutions are out of control. I don't understand why the Brio of land management is armed and has guns. Does that make any sense to anybody out there? And they're really getting ridiculous about this. I've learned recently that not only are they, being bad or militarized to protesters, and the BLM is out there, with their guns doing what they're doing, but also the Amish. The Amish are being raided, have been raided by the feds because of giving raw milk, and to me, I'm kind of figuring, well, leave these people alone, okay? Talk about outfits. These people have been wearing the same outfits since the 1800s. I mean, obviously, they have not acquiesced to where, they're not living in our world. They decided to stay where they wanted to. And what's up with raw milk? I mean, we do have refrigerators now. Is it so dangerous of a disease? And I thought that the goal was for depopulation. I mean, why are you wasting our fake money from the Federal Reserve to actually do what you're doing? And it doesn't make any sense for me, and that's my big why for this morning. Anyway, I'm gonna get off the my rant here. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will be taking calls during the show, and in the latter half of the show, if you'd like to ask any questions or participate in any of the dialogue that we are going to talk about today. The Studio A number is 347-688-2902, and please do feel free to call in the second hour. My guest is a filmmaker. He is a friend of mine, and I met him a while back. I had the opportunity to do a discussion series on the legalization of marijuana, and it was at a time in California where we were about, or it was on the ballot. It's the one time that California has actually been able to get the cannabis initiative on the ballot, and there was the Actors Gang Theater in Culver City, California, was having a series called the Zeitgeist series, and I was doing a discussion. I was the moderator for the discussion series, and through that, I met our guest, who is a filmmaker, and came to that series. And we actually went and had a meal, and he's been somebody that I would say has influenced my life as an artist. Every once in a while, I feel that, I see myself as being a student to the arts. And I have been for most of my life. And one of the things that I feel, I know that we talk about Hollywood, and again, when you start to wake up and you see the movies and the films and the social engineering and the advertising and just the dumbing down of the masses and the agenda that's behind that, I do believe that historically, theater and art inspires people, and it really, if we're going to talk about religions and churches, it really is the beginning of religion. It was the oracle or the speech or the morality plays that came out during the time. And so I've always grown up in my heart, or believed that art was the spirit of our humanity, and it was showing and defining the best of who we are. At the same time, we're able to speak in this medium. A comedian could go on stage and speak their truth in the way that they do, and get some very poignant ideas within what that is. A film can enlighten people. A documentary can teach us. And or the telling of a story can encourage people to understand their own empowerment and their triumph. And our guest is somebody who has been a filmmaker for quite a long time. Mostly has specialized in what we consider a documentary filmmaking. And I'm just going to read a little bit of his resume to you so that you can get an idea of what his background is. He has been a guest lecturer in both the United States and Europe. And he has presented and led audience discussions of his film, The Inner Revolution. It is a 90-minute film that documents the process of one man's experience in therapy. And the film has attracted the interest of general and professional audiences alike, promoting post-screening discussions of behavioral patterns in our daily relationships, addictions, allergies, and very symbolic behaviors. His education is from 1956 to 1955. He studied at Columbia University in New York, and his focus was social work. From 1955 to 1956, he was at the Newark College of Engineering in Newark, New Jersey, and he worked in the school. He studied School of Industrial Design. His work experience is education through communication, and he is a documentary filmmaker from 1963 to 1970. And from 1970 to 1972, he was with the National Institute of Mental Health in Washington, D.C. He was a guest lecturer at universities and clinics throughout the United States. In 1972 and 1982, he was a guest lecturer and also conducted seminars at universities and clinics throughout Europe and American cultural centers. He organized, set up, and directed 2 daycare centers in London and 1 large one in Germany. He organized, set up, and directed phone hotlines mainly for English-speaking high school students in Brussels. His exhibitions are from 1968 to 1976. Some Won't Go. This is a documentary film about the Vietnam War. He's been invited to over 60 film festivals in the United States and around the world. And from 1970 to 1985, he did The Inner Revolution, which was a psychological documentary following a college professor and his therapy experience with primal therapy. I don't know if anybody remembers, primal therapy or how primal therapy was used, and I'm assuming that it's still used today. He was invited to over 45 film festivals in the United States and around the world. And here's some of his major film festivals that he's been awarded in. New York Film Festival, Atlanta Film Festival, Berlin Film Festival, Cannes Film Festival, Edinburgh Film Festival, Moscow Film Festival, San Francisco Film Festival, Toronto Film Festival, Venice Film Festival, and the Cuban Film Festival. And so I'm super excited to have him here on the show today. And I'm also, I'm very lucky to be friends with him. And so I'd like to welcome to the show Gil Toff.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much for being here. And there's a lot of things that I'd like to talk with you about. One of the things that I would like you to share a story with the listeners here. And when I met you, and I remember that we sat out, we grabbed a bite to eat after the show. There was a group of us that went and grabbed a bite to eat. And that night, you told me a story about, I believe it was Picasso, or maybe it was Salvador Dali. See, look how my memory is. But I know that it was a painter, an artist, and his father was a soldier, but he was just as talented as he was. And and then he said, well, you maybe, said his father, maybe you should have been an artist. Do you? I think you're going to tell the story better than I am. Do you remember that dialogue, Gil?
Yes, I remember. It's a father of a very close friend of mine. My friend is John Jurassic, Tito.
Oh, okay.
He died about a year ago, last July. His father was an artist and a very close friend of Picasso. But he was also very political, and he thought that he had to go to fight in Spain. He was the last general defending Barcelona. And after the war, he went back to the south of France until I think he died in the middle 70s. He could not paint anymore. He said, I can't paint. He said, I'm not an artist. He says, artists don't kill people. I've killed people. And that was an amazing line. Unbelievable. And Picasso said, had he not gone to war, he would probably be as famous an artist as I am.
That's always, ever since you've said that to me, that's always resonated with me, and I wanted to share that with you. It's influenced my mind, and I agree with you, and I do feel that the arts and the artist does play a positive role in our world and the health of our world. Do you feel the same, Gil?
Yeah, I think they're very free souls to begin with. they've been programmed like the rest of us, but somehow they've challenged that program. And to me, artists, you know, carry the pain is much closer to the door than us. We have learned how to suppress that pain very well. We're artists. Their pain is at the door. That's why they're out there doing what they do.
Well, that is, I do agree with that on many levels, and a lot of times they talk about the sad clown, you know, or as being a comedian. I remember one time when I was growing up, my mom and I would be watching TV, and my mom looked at, there was a comedian on the screen, and my mom goes, "Those are some of the saddest people in the whole world." And I looked at, you know, the comedian, and I thought, well, how could that be? How could that possibly be? Because they were so funny, and then I became one, which I don't know what that means. Uh, I don't always subscribe to the fact that you have to be always conflicted and in pain in order to be creative. I do feel that there is probably, an artist has had some things happen to them, and there is a certain amount of emotional depth and perception about that. And perhaps, you know, it's a catalyst to, you know, want to go on a radio show and speak, or it's a catalyst to want to do a painting or express themselves or express their ideas or thoughts, or to pick out a flaw or something that's happening in society that you're wishing to have healing or a closure upon. But, you know, to stay completely conflicted your entire life without releasing and healing what it is that you're artistically putting out there, I think will eventually stifle your overall creativity.
True, true.
So when did you decide that when did you start playing around with filmmaking? How did that come about for you?
It started in the early 60s with a very good friend of mine, Freddie Engelberg. We did what we call, I guess, experimental films. We would just shoot things, sometimes put the film in the oven for a little bit, try to change the emulsion, and then see what happens. And it was kind of psychedelic. We did all kinds of filming. In fact, Max Limley Theaters, back in the 60s, he gave us time at his theater. I believe it was on Vermont. Well, we called it Movies After Midnight. We'd have all the people that were doing experimental films are welcome to come and show their films. And that's pretty much when I started playing with film, and I felt film would reach more people than talking one-to-one. That's how it began. And I had two great models who taught me, because I've never studied film in school.
Oh.
One was Robert Weiss, producer-director, and the other one was one of my favorite human beings, Abraham Lincoln Polanski, writer producer.
Oh, that's an interesting name.
In fact, he was blacklisted. He was called before the House Un-American Activities Committee, and he knew how to use his words real well, and he had them going in circles. And if you ever saw Abe, he looked like the gentlest grandfather in the world. Nice old man, sweet, gentle. And the next morning after his testimony in the UAC, the newspaper here in Los Angeles, I forgot the name of the paper, it's not, I think it was the Examiner, the front page, she said, Abe Polanski, the most dangerous man in America. and Abe's wife took that headline and framed it and hung it in the living room. And every time somebody would look at it, she says, if they only knew Abe is only dangerous to Abe. But his real name is Abraham Lincoln Polanski.
I bet he got teased.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
He was a good man. In fact, when Oswald was captured at the theater, a movie that was playing was War is Hell, A. Polanski's picture. Small world.
Oh, it is a small world. Now, was he on trial for the communist scare?
Yeah, he was blacklisted. He was one of the blacklisted writers. Took him, took them a long time to come around and let him work, let him write.
That was an interesting time, I feel, for filmmakers and artists, and it really, I feel, shows the threat that writing and filmmaking has in terms of what can influence minds or a culture. Otherwise, I don't see why they would be so scared. Uh, I mean, being a filmmaker, what are your thoughts about that time period?
Oh, it was, again, one of the dangerous time periods in our country. Uh, we were afraid of the commies, the big red machine. Uh, we incorporated some of the things that they were doing in order to keep people down and not to ask for socialism. So the system did take in some of their ideas. But it all goes back to the way you brought up.
You know what? We'll be right back with more Freedom of Joyce. Stay with us.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message. Revolution Radio.
You don't see it, do you? How close we are to absolute chaos? The sick ones are sitting on their fat masses, eating and drinking themselves into a stupor, polluting the world without a second thought while it goes down the toilet. Nobody wants to do the nasty work. You know, the shit that we all just think about. Most good citizens are just along for the ride and then bitch and moan and complain about everything when it doesn't work out. Get it?
Revolution Radio, where we do the nasty work. www.freedomslips.com.
Took a picture, is that what you did?
Shh.
You have the necessary information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation. In survival, in gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns, you have your documents and your personal information in a safe place in your hands where you know where it is. Well, check out our preloaded EMP-proof thumb drive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus the USDA offline food preservation website, and much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about here. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hands? So when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it, I want it back. Is your personal data safe? family records, addresses, phone numbers, squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
And welcome back to Revolution Radio. Thank you again for being with us today. Today my guest is Gil Toff, who is a filmmaker. He's most notably known for doing a documentary called Inner Revolutions, which was about primal scream therapy. And one of the things too that I like to bring up is that John Lennon wrote the music for, or was it the music or a song for the movie?
No, he gave me some songs.
Oh.
Some that he wrote.
Okay.
In fact, his experience in the therapy, his insights from his experience in the therapy, if you listen to his words after he left the Beatles, it's all insights from the therapy. Everybody that goes through it just about comes out the same, because we are the same. Our difference is that as we grow older, our symbols change.
Yeah. So is he in? Gil, is he in the documentary himself, or?
No, it's not. Just the music he gave me.
I would love to hear hear what songs it is that he contributed.
Working Class Hero.
Oh.
And Love.
Oh. Wow. Those are.
In fact, he got really angry with me because he had just written Imagine. And he wanted me to put that at the end of the film. Because the end of the film, I take the patient back to Ohio and I interview his parents. And while we're driving in this old VW bus, I interview him and we're talking and what. And he wanted me to use that at the end as the bus is driving off into the sunset as we're going back home, as he says. And home is wherever I am. He's a really good line. But that's when John got really pissed off. He said, no, you got to end it with that. You got to put Imagine in. I said, no, it's already finished. It's all, the film is done. It's done.
Oh, wow.
Special man. Special.
Yes. I don't even know if to say a fan. I don't think fan is really the right word to say how I feel about John Lennon. And the song Imagine, I feel it just speaks to me. It's just a beautiful, beautiful song. And it really, I when I listen to it, it's like, yes, I'd like that to be the future. I like, and I believe that it already exists. If it exists, maybe it doesn't exist in our reality right now, but somewhere in this universe, I believe that what that song is about is real and present, and it's a real possibility for us. And the way he, I feel that at some point he became very conscious of what's going on in the world, that there needs to be peace, and thinking about what that time period was in the 60s. We did have people speaking out. There were people that didn't want to support the Vietnam War. There were people smoking cannabis, and I watched some footage where you see young people that would, I would say, would be in your age group now. I mean, it's and that said right to the cameras, there's nothing wrong with this. It needs to be legal. We don't understand what's going on. And it seems like the youth of every culture is oftentimes saying the same words to people or to the media or taking a stance. And it feels like sometimes we're still struggling to really change our paradigm. And it feels that we're even more constricted now than even then on something levels. What are your thoughts on that, Gil?
Uh, it's great to see young people with great spirit, because the battle is a tough one. It's not easy. It's I think as you grow up, you're programmed, and it starts very, very young, and it's hard to get out of that program. Especially, you love your parents, and you don't want to bend them the wrong way. You want to go along with them. And it's very hard for kids to spread their wings, and it's getting harder. I mean, you used to have space. Now you really don't have space. Kids don't have the space and the place to do things. It's really difficult. Difficult.
It is difficult. There still is a lot of kids or young people out there that are protesting. They are taking a stance. I can say that from my own personal experience with Occupy. A lot of the people that were there, they were in their 20s. Some of them might have been 18, 20, and in the age range spanned. There were some people that were older. There were some people that you can tell that they protested in the 60s, and they're back again, realizing that basically history is repeating itself. But by and large, a lot of some of those of the revolutions that do happen, or the stance that people take, it is young people. And really, I always joke around, like, if you're over 35 and you're protesting, you've got to be in pretty good shape for that. I mean, you're walking like a really, really long ways. I actually was doing a protest in the middle of the night, because Occupy Los Angeles took to the streets when Occupy Wall Street was being raided. And so we, it was maybe midnight, and and a group of us, like, just went down and up and down the streets of downtown Los Angeles. And I really got, I had a backpack, I was getting winded, and I was like, so I took a cab back. Is that wrong? Is that like bourgeois of me to just go, I'm not walking anymore?
No, it was the common sense thing to do.
Right? I couldn't even find my way back. I go, I don't even know how to get back where I'm at. I know a cab driver will understand it. But what I thought was funny was another guy who was wearing that Guy Fawkes mask, the V from Vendetta mask. He like lifts it up and looks at me in the cab and goes, "Hey, can I get in there with you?" I go, "Yeah, come on in." So I wasn't alone in doing it, but I hope that we keep that spirit. I'm oftentimes not sure, what if it's even working anymore. If protest is even working anymore.
Yeah, I think it is. I think the 1%, 99%, was done by Occupy. I think that brought that out for discussion quite a bit.
That's what I feel too. I feel that's the one thing that it did do, was that it did point a finger on a global level. Like, look, there is a 1%. There are a certain group of people. There are corporations that are controlling everything. And then again, we can get into a further discussion of what's behind that, but that's not really what I'm have you on the show for. So But it's really it's inspiring to me to hear that you did work with John Lennon and that you have such a I mean there's not a whole lot of people that can say yeah I collaborated with him personally or I was actually in the presence of him.
I don't know that I collaborated. We spent a lot of time together.
Okay.
Good times.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, he helped. He liked helping people who were trying things. It was interesting.
That's nice. Well, he basically coined, or did he coin? He's an art activist, or isn't that what they can like? He and Yoko pretty much consider themselves.
I guess. Uh, I was only friends with him. I was never really friends with her.
Okay.
But as you were saying about the protests and what, well, we had a great protest yesterday around the world about people that are earning minimum wage in all these fast food restaurants.
Oh yeah.
It's a hell of a great demonstrations that went on.
How do you feel about that?
About what?
About the minimum wage. Do you feel? I mean, are you in support of raising the minimum wage?
Oh yeah, probably better than $15 more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the whole idea of a CEO making hundreds of times more per hour than his average worker, I think, is pretty ugly.
Yeah.
Pretty ugly.
I agree. I feel that I would like to see the minimum wage rise, and anytime that you work, in a fast food or if you're a waitress, in any type of those, and especially if you're a waitress, because they automatically they tax your tips, so your actual paycheck sometimes will be zero or maybe it's a couple of dollars a day that you're actually making from your wages as a food server, and the type of work that it is very taxing, and it's criminal to not to work so hard, and maybe sometimes even having to have 2 3 different food serving jobs or 2 different fast food jobs just to make your ends meet, and even that isn't working. So if we could get to the point where people are provided for on a mass level, and we would be able to cover our costs, buy our food, get our gas, perhaps maybe we wouldn't have to rely so much on government subsidies like food stamps in order to feed our family.
Yeah, that's the other crime, that all these fast food workers, are eligible for food stamps. You know, the owners of fast food places are making money, but they're not paying their workers, so their workers have to go get food stamps and health care, and who pays for that? We pay for that. I mean, it's unconscious, and that's what I think the world pretty much is just unconscious. There's no feeling going on. Somebody you said works doesn't have a wage that they can live with, and we're having more and more minimum wages in this country. I mean, I think what's going to happen, China is getting rich and rich, and we're going to become China. We're going to be the minimum wage workers of the world for China pretty soon. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, it does feel like it. It's interesting today, right before I, started to do the show. I always check into Facebook, that government operative social media that we have. But but I like it. It's the way that I'm able to connect to people. And to talk about things that we're talking about here, or find people of like mind. That's one good thing I think about the internet. That's out there, and the actual communication and dialogue that can take place that's positive is what I like about it. But somebody had a meme where it said, "Oh, thank you very much for if we have minimum wage now," and they showed it looked like McDonald's, with a McDonald's server, and now this is going to cost $65.87 or something like that. Like, is it like the reason not to raise minimum wage is so that we have cheaper fast food, which is the food that we really shouldn't be eating anyways?
Correct. correct. As John Lennon in his song said, keep your dope with religion and sex and TV, and you think you're so classless and free. That's what they're doing to us.
Yes, that is what they're doing to us. So I would like to ask you about the film Inner Revolution. What inspired you to take that up as a subject matter?
I was a radical filmmaker, and Arthur Janow developed Primal Scream. We were kind of friends, I would say, and he invited me to come and sit down, and he's telling me about a new therapy he's developed, and he said it was very revolutionary. And I said, sure, every shrink would say that. He said, no, this is, and he was at that time. He was working on his first book, The Primal Scream, and he gave me his workbook, and I was reading it, and I was moved by it. I was very moved by it. In fact, there were sections in the book that I took. There was a section about alcoholics that I had a couple of alcoholic friends read it. There was a section about people overweight. I had them read it. There was a section on drug addiction. There was a section on homosexuality. And the feedback that I got from people was very interesting, very, very moving. Because usually when you read something, most of the time, you know, you suppress your feelings on it. Nah, it's probably not true, whatever. But what made it strong was a lot of the book is written by patients' own insights and experiences. And we're all about the same. Very little change between us. And that's what got me interested. One Saturday I was coming back to his house with the manuscript, and that a whole bunch of the patients were sitting around in the yard, barbecuing and what. And the feeling in that yard was just, it was very beautiful. And that started me getting interested in filming documenting the therapy. And it's very, in fact, what I show in the film is very, not heavy stuff, because I think some of the stuff is much too heavy.
Now, what exactly is Primal Scream? I mean, take us through what that is. I mean, I've heard a little bit about it. How you go down? Are you?
Well, the whole thing is we suppress things as children, and we're taught to suppress things. And a lot of our pain is suppressed, and if you relive it, you live through it, you bring it back to consciousness, and when you do that, you realize you no longer have to depend on the false behavior that you've been living. It's powerful. It's very powerful. And the insights that you get are just very strong. And it's a consciousness versus unconsciousness is what it's all about. The more you bring to consciousness, the healthier person you become. Then you begin more and more to live in the now instead of living in the past. And I believe that our past predicts and dictates how we live until we put the past to consciousness. And that's, excuse me, that's the struggle. Consciousness.
It is. It is the struggle. I would agree, and what I'm learning is there's different ways of finding it and bringing it to light. Is it something where, and because I do have some experience with therapy, but I'm not, I've just heard or read. I remember it seemed back in the 70s or so, Primal Scream became like a catchphrase. It seemed like it got kind of, it seemed like in pop culture it became somewhat popular in some ways. Now, is it something where you do a hypnosis or you digress back to a time of childhood, and then you release the pain?
Well, it starts by applying to the primal center,
Uh-huh.
and usually you have to write a bio, a history of yourself, and to go back as far as you can. And any one of the good therapists at the institute, reading the letter, the bio, realizes what points to begin in touch with. Uh, and it's hard because usually the first or second letter is not strong enough, and by the rejection you get angrier, and usually they write better letters, better bios. Once you're accepted, the first 3 weeks are on one-to-one, and you usually stay. They want you to stay in a hotel or not in your apartment. In other words, they want you in a place where you're not on the telephone, you're not on the radio, you don't have a TV, you have no distractions. It's just you alone. And beginning to talk with a therapist gets you back into a feeling. And once you get into a feeling, a primal, you can't wait to do it again and again and again. It's incredible what I've seen on people physically. Their faces, they're softer, more smiling. It's interesting. Very. I think it's a very healthy experience.
That's I would like to read up more on it and explore it again. You mentioned, and it's even in your biography about allergies. Now, how are, and we may have to go, we're getting close to the break, but, and if we have to go to take a commercial, maybe we can recap on that subject matter. But you mentioned how allergies are connected to your past and to our emotional self, not necessarily the allergen itself.
Uh, Say you're sitting in a room with lots of friends or lots of family. And usually there's one or two people in that room you're not comfortable with. And just looking at them, you don't even have to talk to them. Just looking at them, your body begins to it,
Uh-oh. I have lost connection.